people should know about bullying and cyberbullying especially?
Okay, well, bullying has been around for a long time. The way that it gets done changes as children's ages change and as the times change. But bullying basically seems to be trying to accomplish two things for the bully. The bully is trying to get power and acceptance or affection from the people that matter to him or her. So it's different from just being mean or nasty. Some bullies are also just mean and nasty, but in general, it is about something somewhat public. So there are really three roles in bullying. There are bullies, there are the bullied, or the victims, and there are the bystanders. And in order to deal with bullying, we really need to deal with all three. We need to figure out what is driving the bully to use bullying behavior, what is making someone vulnerable to be bullied, and how can you help someone who's being bullied cope with that and kind of extract themselves from that situation. And you also really need to pay attention to the bystanders. Who's giving the bully attention and rewards by laughing, by giving the person status, by not doing anything? How can we deal with all three roles? So to start with the bully, recognizing that what bullies are looking for is power and attention or status or affection, then what are some ways that you can help all children get a sense of power, a sense of attention, belonging, feeling attached to other people and feeling like they have friends? If they've got positive ways to do that, then they won't need to resort to bullying to do it. And in fact, sometimes one of the best ways to deal with a bully is to give him or her a leadership role. What it does is give that child a positive way to get those goals met that are driving the bullying. And that may take care of the problem. To deal with the victim, we need to realize that usually those people are vulnerable because they're relatively weak. They make themselves a target in some ways, and are often also needing affection and needing friends and needing a way to feel connected. So we need to pay attention to those kids that are kind of loners or at the outside, those kids who are kind of pretty available targets to the bully, and help to incorporate those kids. And it's also important to note that bullies are not likely to pick on kids who their friends like. So if we can get those kids more included in the mainstream, get the loners brought in, then they're less likely to be victims because they're more likely to be connected with people that the bullies care about. And they're not going to pick on the ones that their friends care about. And then dealing with the bystanders, we need to help bystanders recognize their role and recognize that laughing or paying attention or applauding or somehow responding to what a bully is doing is feeding that bully, and help them become more sensitive to the needs of both the bully and the bullied, and see if they can step in more often rather than just standing in the background and providing the support and the audience.
I like that you said kind of he or she. I mean, obviously men, women, or boys and girls really do it in different ways. How does that change?
Well, in many ways, bullies who are male tend to be a little bit more overt, and their bullying tends to be a little more direct. Girls tend to be a little more indirect and more relation-based in their bullying. So there you need to really pay attention to those relationships and the ways that girls use things like, I'm not going to be your friend, or messing up the friendships that a victim has. So stepping in and saying, well, I heard, and passing on rumors or saying something else that will disrupt someone else's friendships. So it's not absolute, but in general, there is a tendency for girls to be a little bit more relational. But both girls and boys can be bullies and are bullies in various ways. Most people are not, but there is a relatively significant percentage. About maybe 30% at some point will be bullies or will be bullied. But the percentage that kids report, they are more likely to report that they've been bullied than parents realize. So often parents could be of help, but they don't recognize that the bullying is going on.
And what do parents need to do? What do they, what are the signs they should be aware of? Even when, I mean, they can't be in the playground, they can't be in the classroom, they can't be in the hallways. How can a parent at home realize that?
Well, I think things to watch for are if kids stop wanting to go to school, or when they used to like to go to school, or if they are talking a lot about a particular child as being a problem, if they start losing things that may be taken from them, everything from lunch money to school supplies to whatever, or they have some kind of injury. Obviously, those are issues that you need to respond to right away and find out more about what's going on. I think you can also get a sense of whether your child is likely to be a bully or to be bullied, but we also need to recognize that many bullies were victims in the past and have responded by trying to get power by becoming bullies themselves, and they learn a lot about bullying just by being bullied. So it's not that certain kinds of kids will be victims versus bullies, but there may be some things that you can notice in your kids' behavior. Overall, the best thing for parents to do is to teach their kids to be sensitive, to facilitate relationships, to help them talk about problems in relationships. What can you do when you're angry with a friend, when someone mistreats you? Give them tools, give them words, give them people that they can go to for help so that they are not isolated and have nowhere to turn, either to get the goals met that they need to have met or to deal with being bullied.
How does it change for elementary, middle, high school kids?
Clearly,
all the same.
There are differences by age. Bullying, it seems to peak around middle adolescence. But kids as young as preschoolers may be dealing with bullying. Their worlds will be smaller, and they tend to be very changeable, so that their friendships change quickly. The bullying relationships may change quickly when they're very young. As they get older, they have more of a memory. They live in a larger world, so they're more likely to reach out. They may be dealing with people farther away from their immediate lives, so they may be more vulnerable in some ways because there are more people around them, and they may not be as likely to know all the people around them, so that they may not be as familiar and may not be able to negotiate the relationships in the same way. But some of the basic principles still apply. With all ages, teach kids to use words, teach kids to express their needs, help them know where they can get help, and help them to think about other people's feelings. That will help all three roles within the bullying complex.
How have things changed with technology? I mean, I know you said at the very beginning, it's since the dawn of time, I'm sure there have been bullies and victims. How have things changed, particularly with cyberbullying and then other things?
There are some unique and interesting aspects of cyberbullying that are different from what goes on with face-to-face bullying. For one thing, Facebook and the internet and texting are both private and public. So in some ways it feels like it doesn't meet the requirements for bullying because it's private, but often, especially on Facebook, some of the blogs, places where other kids can read what you've posted, that becomes public, and that's where the bystanders come in. And it's difficult to deal with some of these, and especially to help them think about the needs of the other people they're communicating to, because you don't see them face to face. So it's easy to fall into a trap of doing things that you would never say to someone personally, or in a totally public situation. It feels private. So I think kids will say and do things that they would never do otherwise, whether it's pictures that they send or words that they use or the meanness that they will resort to that they wouldn't do in person. So it's very important, I think, for parents to begin to teach the skills to use electronic media. The problem is most parents never dealt with these when they were young. They don't understand the media as well as the kids do. So part of it is that the adults need to learn what's going on with the media. They probably need to learn the basics of Facebook and some of the other social media settings. They need to learn a little bit about blogging. They need to learn what kids are texting, what some of the meanings are of some of the abbreviations they use, but recognizing that they'll never truly know that inside out because the idea is that it is generationally unique and each generation needs to have its own little niche that the parents won't quite get or understand. So they should try to understand as much as they can, but realize the basic skills of dealing with bullying, dealing with bullies, the bullied, and bystanders are the same no matter what the medium is. Caring about how someone feels and thinking about other people's feelings are some basic skills that kids need in life overall and will help them avoid cyberbullying and cope with it when they see it happen and bullying face to face. They are basic skills that all people need to live peacefully with each other.
Do you think is there, I mean, I think cyberbullying catchphrase it happened a couple of years ago. I mean, do you think people are more aware of it now, even with suicides and unfortunately other things that have gone on, or do you think there's still a significant number of people that are unaware of it, both parents and kids possibly about this?
Well, I think it's still new enough that we're all still trying to figure it out. It has gotten attention. So in the media, when they mention that a child was being bullied on Facebook, that's something that's still new enough that it scares us a little bit more than maybe it needs to. It isn't an entirely different thing, but because it's new, it's fairly intimidating. I think we're more aware, but it keeps changing too. So we just need to stay on top of what's happening and make sure that we're putting in those foundational blocks that all children and adults need to be able to deal with each other in a social context in a way that's respectful and supportive and builds positive relationships rather than tearing them down. I do have some more statistics if you need some statistics. I don't know if you need them.
Is there anything else you think that's important that I haven't asked you that you I mean, the big thing I'm taking away for trying to stop is just thinking about how the other person feels. Is there other things that people should think or teach kids or learn about themselves to know to try to stop this problem?
Well, a big part of bullying is feeling power and feeling a sense of being able to make a difference around them. Some of that can come by being mean and by tearing someone else down. But we also can feel a sense of power if we begin to understand other people and we learn what words can do. If we empower kids by giving them words, by helping them recognize that they can step in if they see someone else doing something that is making someone else feel bad, it's okay to step in and instead of feeling like they are powerless around the bully, especially if they join with others and say, that's not a nice thing to do. And say it in the same medium where they saw it happen. So if they see it on Facebook, instead of just letting it pass or saying ha ha or LOL or whatever they want to say something about, I'm sorry you said that, or I don't think that's fair. I like so-and-so. Something that doesn't let the bully just get away with it. Respond in some way, not to pay back the bully, but to take away the rewards that are coming from the bullying and give that person rewards for doing positive things.
It's tough to be the first person in that situation.
It's very tough. And that, again, since it's both private and public, it might be good to get together with another friend and say, how about if together we send a message saying that I like this person, and you know, I've seen this person do something that was great. Something that catches that person, or perhaps respond directly to the person so that it's not public, so that the person can save face and say, I don't think that was nice. Something to not just become a bystander who's supporting the bully. So knowing how close you are to that person may be a way to decide, do I do this as a group, do I do it publicly, or do I just talk to the person quietly? Or talk to an adult. I mean, in some of those cases, it may be best to talk to an adult.